So the first step is we need to get organized. So we're going to create a new folder with your project name, and within this folder we're going to put all of our text files and our image files. So let's create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Recruitment Brochure. And within this folder I'm going to create two new folders. One is going to be called Text, and the other is going to be called Images. This folder structure will become your home base, where you store a copy of all of your raw materials or your input files. So all of the images that are going to go into your brochure, or all of the text files that are going to flow through and create the actual text in the document. InDesign has what I like to call sort of a non-destructive type of workflow. It's a little bit different from MS Word or other types of publication programs, but this is a good thing, and this means that as you build out your publication, InDesign is going to link to the individual files within this home base folder, but never actually alter, move, or edit them. So the benefit of this approach is that you can complete your entire layout of the brochure and then go back and fix typos in the text files, or make some sort of edit or refine the brightness of a photograph or an image in this folder at a later time. And all of the changes that you make to the original text and graphics files that sit within this home base folder will be carried over to your actual InDesign brochure file. So for this example, I'm going to cheat a little bit for the purpose of this tutorial. I have all of my images, some sample images laid out in here, some photos of some potential alumni, faculty, some students, things like that. These are various elements that we can use in the brochure, and then I have my text documents named by the area in the brochure that they're going to be placed. So this is where I want to start with. I have everything arranged and organized in this home base folder, ready to go. So the second step is to actually create your document, and you can open up InDesign, go to File, New, Document, and then this is where you will input the size and the kind of arrangement of what this document is going to be. Obviously, before you get to this stage, it's good to know what you're actually building and the size and how many pages that the actual document is going to become. For this particular purpose, I might start with 8.5 by 11, which is standard kind of copy paper. Number of pages, let's say 6 to start with, and margins are good. This is pretty good, so we can start with this. Okay, so now we're in InDesign, and you can see there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of toolbars, a lot of buttons, but that's okay. We don't need to get distracted by all of these different things on the screen. We just need to focus on a few simple steps to get this brochure done. So the very first thing we want to work on is our master pages. And if you go into the Pages navigation panel here, this will pull up all your different pages, and if you double click on each one, you'll see the navigation, the viewpoint kind of shift to take a look at the current page that you have selected. But what we want to do right now is edit our master pages. And if you double click this area, we see this left and right master page. And what this is essentially is a sort of a template that's going to sit on a layer beneath all of the different elements that you have on the page. If you pick up a magazine or pick up a book, you'll notice usually on the bottom they might have the page number, they might have the publication number, they might have sort of either sometimes graphics or motifs or something on every single page on the top or on the corner. And clearly this is not something that you want to manually put into every single page, so this is why we have the master pages, to kind of set the theme and the template so that you can do a 4-page brochure or a 100-page book layout, and you can just flow everything through and have one consistent template. So the first thing we want to do is create the page number. So we'll get the type tool, and now you see we're still in the master pages, and we're going to edit this master page. We're going to create our text box, and within this text box you're going to go into Type, Insert, Special Character, Markers, Current Page Number. So this is a placeholder that is going to allow InDesign to actually replace with the current page number no matter what page that you navigate to. So we're going to add this in there, and you'll see if I zoom in, and it's just an A, and this is going to be replaced by the actual page number. So I'm just going to say page, and this will be replaced by the actual page number. So I'll just move this down to the bottom, and I'm still on the master pages here. You can see this is selected. And let's put the name of the publication down here. I'm going to call this Recruitment Brochure. I really hope you think of something more creative than that, but this will do for now for the purpose of this tutorial. So I'm going to lay this text down, and if you notice this time I actually just put regular text in. There's no sort of fancy, there's no special characters, no special hyperlink to anything. So this is going to just be plain text carried through onto every page. When you will see in just a moment, page A is going to be replaced with page 3, page 4, page 5, depending on what page that you're looking at. So we're still in master pages. If I zoom out, you'll see that I did the left-hand version of this, and now I need to fulfill the right-hand version of this. So I'm going to just copy and paste what I have down here and move this over to the right-hand side. If I zoom in, one important change is that we need to move the page number to the other side. And when I move the page number to the other side, I'm going to want to right justify that so that it aligns with the side of the page. So what we have here is we have our master pages, see still selected here, pretty much ready to go. And it's super simple, but you'll see in just a second how powerful this is. Any text, any graphics, logos, gradients, background images, semi-transparent photographs, anything you want, you put here, and it will carry through like a template through all of the other pages. Okay, the next step is to move back into the actual document. So we're going to select out of master pages, and now we're on page 1. And now you can see it says page 1 down here. If I navigate to page 4, you can just see that that smart text actually did replace with the current page number, so that's all good to go. So now you can kind of start to understand what the master pages are. They are this template that sits on a layer sort of beneath all of the other elements on the page. The next step is we're going to place some photographs onto the page. So what might be helpful is to add some columns to the page. So if you go to Layout, Margins and Columns, let's say 5 columns, and hit OK. And this is clearly, these are going to be invisible lines. They do not print, but they're going to be helpful for us to arrange things in a nice fashion on the page. Now let's put down our first photograph. Remember our home base folder. Remember why we made this folder is because everything is nicely organized and ready to go. So now we're going to call upon those photos and those files in that home base folder by saying File, Place. So place is the magic button that is going to link what's in your home base folder onto elements on the page. It's going to pull things from that folder and put them on the page. So we're going to hit place, and I'm going to select an image. Let's say I want an alumni image. I'm going to select alumni 2 and say open. So what this does is you notice that the cursor is replaced with a little preview of the image and a little paintbrush. It's almost as if you dipped your paintbrush in a glop of paint, and now there's paint on the brush and it's sort of loaded and ready to go. So the cursor is now loaded and ready to go and ready to plop down this image wherever you put it down. So I'm going to just click, and as you can see, it plopped it down. It's here, it's present, it's a thing, but it's way too big. So what I want to do is get the transform tool, and I'm going to hold shift, always hold shift when you're transforming, so it'll keep the proportions correct. So you're not going to squeeze any of these images. So I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to just resize this a few times to make this a little bit smaller. And let's say I want to make it this small, but there's going to be a twist, and I'll show you in just a second. So I have transformed the size of this entire photograph. Now if I get out of the transform tool and go back into the regular selection tool, you'll notice if I drag, I'm not going to actually alter the size of the photo, because what I'm doing is I'm dragging the outside container. This is just a container, and inside this container lives the actual photo. So there's two different elements at play here. So what I'm going to do is I want to drag this container down to fill more of this page, and it's going to create more of an interesting shape. So this is the shape of the photograph that I want. And then if you'll notice, as I'm hovering over, there's this sort of bullseye that shows up. And this is an opportunity to now edit the photo that lives within the container. So if I click on this, you'll notice the bounding boxes change color, and they change shape to actually highlight just the photograph itself. Now, so this is switching a mode here. This is switching into a mode where I'm actually editing the photo, but I'm editing the photo within the container. I know this is confusing, but let's just do it, and you'll totally see this in just 1 second, that this is the magic secret sauce of InDesign. So if I hold Shift again, always holding Shift, and I drag this, I'm going to resize this photo within the bounding box within that container. This is how you can create some really interesting layouts. So the next step is we need to place some text down. So we're going to actually use the exact same method, File, Place, and now we're going to get, instead of an image, we're going to get a text file. So let's get the alumni story we have ready to go here, and you can see that's why this home base folder is so important, is you have everything staged, organized, ready to go. So let's open the alumni story, and in a similar fashion you'll see that the cursor is loaded with the text and ready to go, ready to plop down wherever I put it. If I click here, you'll see it automatically attempted to snap it into place into some sort of acceptable column format, but I can move this and shape this in any way I want. The story looks like it's actually cut off down here. You can see there's a little red plus. And what this red plus means is that there's still more that is not displayed in this box, and it's getting cut off. So we need to give it a home, and we need to give it a space to flow over into another column. So what I'm going to do is, in the same way that we made columns on this page, I'm going to create columns on this page. So I select page 3 over here on the Pages panel. Go to Margins and Columns, add 5 columns, boom. So we have the same columns ready to go. And I'm going to go back to this red. You can see I'm kind of ready to select it, this red plus. I'm going to click it, and it's going to load the paintbrush again, so to speak. And I'm going to click up here, and it's going to give me the continual text. It's going to flow from the first column over here. Now you'll notice, I know these look like two different elements, two different sort of physical chunks, but they are the same. If I do double click and select this text, you'll notice that the cursor just flows because it just goes from one to the other. What's nice about this is that if you edit one, it affects the other. It's one continuous flow. So you can play with this and play with your columns and make some more interesting kind of flowing designs for your brochure. So those are two of the most important features that you need to learn in InDesign: how to add photos and how to add text. Everything else is some sort of manipulation of those two. Where some of the kind of more specialty, more creative stuff comes out is how you arrange them, how you play with these bounding boxes, how you crop photos, how you use the space on the page and the different elements you have to tell the story and achieve the objective of your brochure or your publication. So to continue on and show you the rest of this brochure, I'm going to just quickly copy and paste this whole section into another set of pages, pages 4 and 5. And the nice thing about doing that is these elements are pretty much ready to manipulate again, but we can still use their size and their location to place new images. So this image, first I'll add columns again to 4 and 5, so we have some more columns to work with. So maybe this image, I want to, for this page, I want to put an image down here, so I'm going to manipulate the bounding box, and I know this photo is going to get all screwed up, and that's okay because I'm going to put a different photo in. So let's say I want a photo down here, and I want my text up here. I can just change the bounding boxes and the text will behave. So for this photo, I'm going to, I just clicked on it. See, I just selected it, File, Place. Now anything I put there is going to sit within that new bounding box. So let's say I want this faculty member who's teaching. Boom. Now it's not cropped correctly because it was using the same settings as the previous photo. So now if I click on the bullseye, it's going to give me the opportunity to manipulate the photo within this bounding box, within the cropped box. So now I can move it around. Now I can resize it to fit. So as you can see, once you have the main elements on the page chunked out in these kind of building blocks, you can just flow through the rest of your brochure and get it on the page and get it into form fairly quickly. If you need more pages, you can go to the Pages panel here, and you can just right-click, say Insert Pages. Let's say I need 4 more pages. They will just be created. They'll all have the master page template underneath, so you'll see the page numbers down here. So that's all ready to go. You can create columns on this page too if you'd like for guidance. But you can use this simple set of features and tools to essentially lay out your whole brochure, and you don't need to get caught up in a lot of this other stuff in InDesign. So this is a sped up time lapse of me finishing the rest of the brochure. As you can see, I'm moving a lot of different elements around, a lot of resizing, a lot of flowing, a lot of placing different images, but nothing really that we haven't covered. It's placing the images, it's sizing them correctly, it's getting them into the right place. So this is just back to basics, using these basic tools to lay out the entire brochure. So when you're finished and you're ready to export, you can just go to File, Export, and export the entire brochure as a PDF. And you can take that PDF file and send it straight along to your printer.